Craig, have you seen my shoe? What's that for?
Protection.
Protection? Protection from who?
Yeah, Smokey. I got to walk Smokey down to his house.
Oh, man. Your mother and I never would have moved in this neighborhood if we had known you need a gun to walk down the damn street.
You know how it is around here.
Oh, no, son, that's not the way it is. You kids today are nothing but punks. Sissified. So quick to pick up a gun. You're scared to take an ass whipping. This what makes you a man. When I was growing up, this was all the protection we needed. You win some, you lose some. But you live. You live to fight another day. And you think you're a man with that gun in your hand, don't you?
I'm a man without it.
Put the gun down. Come on, put up your dukes. Now you're a man. Your uncle picked up a gun, too. He had to find out the hard way. 22 years old. You got a choice. These all you need. All right?
Be honest with you, it's gonna turn into a purgatory because nothing is changing out here.
For my youngest grandchild, he doesn't even know his father. And I show him the pictures. That's all he has, is the pictures of his father. And I cry for them. I'm not crying for myself. I cry for my grandchildren.
It's not you. If you had kids, you understand, man. You understand, yo. 4 days before,
Let's talk about
15 days before our first birthday, man, the clown took our way because they want to shoot up the wrong car, man.
what exactly happens when a child dies. Let's talk about the feelings and the emotions we go through when we're dealing with the death of our child. I noticed that most people, they become distant. They become closed off to the rest of the world. They become isolated in their own mind because no one can really understand how they feel or what they think about how they feel. So they keep all that misunderstood to themselves, not realizing that that builds the character of the community. Because where that emotion is needed, where that emotion should be shown, we keep it to ourselves, especially as men. But if you don't learn to be expressive, then the trauma builds. Because there's a lot of things that can put you through trauma. It's not just the death of a child. But I say that to say this: when you add the death of a child, anybody's child, and you're emotionally tied to that, that's a part of you for the rest of your life. That's something you're going to take with you for the rest of your life. Not only that, but that is something that you will pass down to the next generation. The next generation does not know what that feeling or emotion is, but it suffers the same thing. Maybe in a different way, but the same thing. And it just keeps repeating itself. I mean, decade after decade, year after year, going to these funerals, crying, heartfelt. And you really do be in that emotion. You really do be at that space. You really do be at that moment. But the everlasting effects that has on you, death in general. So when you add the dramatic to it, it becomes a heavier weight. When you add fear to it, it becomes a replica of that which you are there for in the first place. In other words, it just becomes repetitive that people keep dying, people keep killing, people keep creating mischief amongst the land, excuse me. We don't see a way past this because we don't see a need to. If you have a need for something in life, you figure out how to work to achieve that. If you need food, you're going to go get it. If you need money to pay your bills, you're going to go get it. What you need is the same application to saving your goddamn children. Because that's what I'm trying to do for mine. Your efforts go as far as your thought of it all goes. But let me give you this one. I know this one chick. She's my age. Her baby dad was killed back in the early 90s. She has 3 daughters and 2 sons. Both her daughters have baby daddies that are dead. The child without that father is already going to go through things. But now you have to be truthful to the child and tell the child at its early stages of development that your father was killed. This is why you don't have one. That child then goes out there into the community not knowing how to process, because without a man, it doesn't know how to think logically. So that child goes out there and don't know how to process at that early stage in life its emotions. And it becomes ADHD, hyper, you know, it becomes what is the word I'm looking for? Displaced. It becomes irrational to be exact. Not as a thinker, but as a being, because it has no foundation to stand on. Because it doesn't take one brick, it takes 2 bricks to build a house. It takes a stable foundation to ensure that the child has an understanding of the possibilities of life, to want to enjoy life, to be a part of life. And we strip that away because of fear. We've been bred to live in fear. We've been bred to think of fear. We've been bred to express fear to where we never get over it. So therefore, we pick up the gun. Why? Because I would rather be carried by 6 than judged. I would rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. When I'm not thinking about killing nobody, I'm not worried about nobody killing me. Therefore, I have no need for the gun. If everybody thought like that, then who would need to carry a gun? We're too much trying to, we're too busy, trying to compete with each other instead of understand each other. I ain't got to like you. But if I understand that you do what you do because that's what you want to do, perfectly fine with me. No, competition kills all that. Why? Because you're doing something that I can't do. So now I'm jealous. Now I become despiteful out of my jealousy. So now I throw stones, rocks, and gaslight you. So now we're in a combative state. We arguing. And we don't know how to tuck our emotions to the side because we know that if we back down, somebody might look at us as being weak. Fear. Fear. The world will never change because the world will not stop having a reason to live or be in fear. The powers to be know this. The powers to be, they call it creating order out of chaos and chaos out of order. Why is that backwards? No one really took time to understand that, but it's written on a dollar. It's written on a dollar to have order out of chaos, but chaos out of order. If you control the chaos, you control the order. But how do you control the chaos? You don't have chaotic things without fear. Fear is the not knowing. But how are you going to fear something you're going to do anyway, like death? You're going to die anyway. You're going to die anyway. So you might as well just get a grip of it. You're born to live and you live to die. The two times that you live, both the minute you're born and the minute you die. So once we get over that fear of death, then those other small things allow us to live life in a tremendous form. We have to figure out how, as a community, as a whole, as a country, as a city, as a state, as a world, to get away from living in such fear. The fear is created by the religions we believe in, and I know people don't want to hear it, but it's the truth. I don't care what you want to hear. It's the truth. Because the truth is what is killing these kids. And the lies are killing our kids because we tell them to ourselves and we pass them down to our kids, not realizing the ramification that these things create. And the number one thing it creates is fear. Whether you agree with what I'm saying or not, fear is the destruction of us all because I have a fear I am on here. I want my kids to hear me speaking of pro life because I cannot bury my kids. I am not going to sit there and watch my children die. I will not let it happen. I cannot let it happen. I can't chase them around. I can't focus on everywhere they're going to be, but I have to plant the seed. I have to plant the seed so it's there when I'm gone. I have to plant the seed so that their friends know not to have these fears. Go enjoy life. Go be a part of life. But understand what you want from it to be able to enjoy it. When you give a child the responsibility of adults to control their emotions, ain't gonna happen. When you give a child the responsibility or the understanding of just even be able to fathom this is weird. But if you give the child the responsibility of understanding whether it wants to be a female or not, it ain't gonna maintain it. It's not gonna turn out right. And I say that because suicide rate is at an all-time high, just as well as homicide rates are at an all-time high. But if you don't know how to control what you think, you can't control what you fear. And we living in a world, we living in a state where we don't control what we think. We think we do. But that's what I'm playing you for. Right here, right now. And I'm telling you, with this podcast, I'm giving you visuals. Why? Because what you're looking for, I'm giving you, and that is death. I'm giving you exactly what you need to see. But the only thing you don't see on a natural base, I'm giving you that too. The ramifications and the destruction it leaves behind. How people in the world are affected directly without even understanding. I'm giving you my emotions as I speak, because as I speak in the back of my mind and my eyes are closed, I'm looking at my child as I'm having this conversation. And you know what I'm saying? Son, please go out here in life and get your life together. Quit hanging around people that are only going to take from you out of fear. Fear of not knowing how to be different than what they are. Fear of not knowing how to be a man where they never had one in their life, even if there was a father figure there. Sometimes that's the case too, because a lot of us men ain't men, so we don't know how to teach these boys how to become what we ain't. So there, I said it, women. But you got to understand, I'm gonna say this too. You're raising them not to know how to become a man, but not allowing one to be in their lives. So when the world has no balance, when it doesn't have a top and a bottom, when it doesn't have a male or female, when it doesn't have a this or that, where do you think life is going to go? At some point, your personal emotion about masculine and feminine has to go out the door. Because these things are only creating more divinity amongst us. And that has got to stop. And it's only creating more divinity amongst us. Well, let's go back and revisit the masculine and the feminine. Why is that an issue? Because people don't want to live the role that they're meant to be. They don't want to live the role that they are meant to have. People don't want to embrace who they are supposed to be, whether they were born this way or not. You're born a man, but you feel like a woman. It don't make sense. It does not matter. You are still a man. I don't care if you chop it off. The only thing you are doing is proving that your emotion trumps everything else. And that is what is going on in this fucking world. And it's time for people to start admitting that you got to quit living in this delusional fairy tale world where you can make up life as it goes, as it comes, and as it is placed before you. And start going out there and creating the life you want by demanding the way you act and the way that you carry yourself to other people. We got to quit allowing ourselves to be used in a system. And all they do is keep tacking on different things to the system. But the system was designed to keep you held back. The system is designed to keep you in fear. The system is designed to keep you divided. The system is designed to keep you killing each other. Here's a problem with it all. If you ain't understanding, life is crashing and burning at an alarming rate. And if you're looking at these statistics, you can see it. This is what I want you to see. What you allow to happen in the world, in your household, to your children. You're going to get on this here app not knowing that I played you to this point. And let me show you by what I mean. It wasn't by mistake I used the videos in the order that I used them, the way that I would use them, with the verbiage they come with. Even that coincides. But I knew the minute you saw the first are getting killed and these young men are getting killed, we march up and down the street and we profess that, we're against gun violence. Even at the funeral, we're enraged. This has got to stop. 2 weeks go by, we forget what we was even marching for. That's retarded. You wasn't a woman or you wasn't a man standing in your essence at that moment because you profess something you are definitely not about. And if it come out your mouth as an adult, you should be about it because that's what sets the tone to your life. So if it come out your mouth to pop that coochie, that's what you're doing. But if it comes out your mouth to promote the life of your children, guess what you're doing? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to come to a level of understanding at this far in life with this here internet to understand that there's so much information out here. You shouldn't want need for nothing. The only thing you should be doing of people around you is demanding what you want from them. And that's what you should be doing in this very election. You shouldn't be questioning what a person's going to do for you. No, you should be telling them this is what you're going to do or we're going to get you out of there. But you can't think that way because the powers that be that they don't want you to understand that you have that power because they need you to continue to live with the possibility of death looming over you. Come on, man. Come on, man. I'm gonna say what ain't nobody else gonna say, and I hate to say this. So to my kids, I hope that you don't take this out of pocket. But someone has to literally teach you what logical thinking is. So this is logical thinking. If I get on this here internet and I say something that they don't want me to say because I could show them where I can lead a community or I can lead people, they will kill my whole family. They will kill everything that comes from me. But if that means my culture, my kind can provide and can move on, then that's what's got to be done. Because that's what Jesus Christ was supposed to represent to people who are of religion. That's what Muhammad was supposed to represent to people who are of religion. You got to give up life to save life. You got to give up life to create life. Does not a flower die so the seed can fall to the earth so it can replant itself? We use all these terminologies and all these understandings, not really understanding where we're going with these things or what they really can do or mean to the naturalness and the humanity of life. Because we do not think in humanity terms. We think individual. We're divided. They're winning the war. We don't even know we're fighting because we're too busy fighting other wars. And the main war we're fighting is within ourselves. The trauma that we keep inflicting on ourselves. The trauma that we keep inducing on ourselves. The trauma that we keep lathering the bread up and pouring jelly over it or syrup over it. At some point, we got to be able to say, enough's enough. At some point, we got to be able to say, I'm tired. I'm not losing no more kids, let alone my own. At some point, we got to do more than say these things. We got to live these things. That means the things that we love, we got to learn to let them go because they're not beneficial to the procreation or the creating of life amongst our children. We promote Sexy Red. We promote NBA Youngboy. So what the hell you think? They're not going to be out here popping coochie and popping perks at the same time? You're crazy, let alone popping guns. We have to come to an understanding as a whole and realize that we are the creators of our own lives. If you're solving problems, then why do our children keep ending up on drugs, committing suicide? Excuse me. Why do our children keep being abusers of life instead of learners of life? Because we all know that you don't become wise enough to live life until you're in your late 30s and 40s. Your prophets, they all were in their 30s or 40s when they became known to be prophets or son or man of God, whatever you want to call it. There's a reason they give you a bit of truth with a bunch of lies. Because they realize it works, even on a political stage. They realize it works, even when it comes to you sending your kids to school, let alone having to worry about them being killed at school. As long as they keep you asking questions, you won't have no demands. Men demand things, we don't ask. Why? Because we already logically answered those questions we have in our head. And if we didn't answer them, then that's where a man becomes emotionally unstable and he has to go out there and find the answers to it. That's what make a man, learning to live. Quit going to these funerals, young man, drinking, popping perks, toting guns. Feeling sad and being sad when your friends die, because that's what you promote. Because you ain't gonna put your gun down. So all them tears you got are phony. So the next time you go to a funeral, stop and look up and say, how did we get here? And your number one answer is because you promoted it, you jackass. I'm one too. Yeah, I'm a jackass. I promoted it. That's why I'm on here talking to you. Because I've been shot, stabbed, beat up, and sent to the penitentiary. I done seen what it was like for people to never be going home again, never to have freedom again, never to be able to do the things that they enjoy about life again. And I realized it wasn't going to be me. But I got kids out here that ain't living life like they should. And I realize society is not on their side. Society is not teaching them how to be men. And if I don't teach them, then who will? Because society is teaching young boys that they can get their penises cut off and become a woman if they want to, all because of an emotional, all because of an emotional feeling of a 6-year-old. A child that is not emotionally stable. At some point, man, you just got to realize shit don't make no sense. Let's make changes. I'm your host, Darnell Henderson. Love you. Have a good evening.